You better not say final.
I already did. All right, this is the final
Not the,
reset that we're doing. I'm
not the,
keeping this in the video as I swap over to the actual gameplay. I'm keeping this in the podcast. I'm not even gonna lie.
Please do.
I
Need
am,
some more
because it's
Kamido.
funny. It's funny. All right. I'm
Yes,
keeping it
I
in.
agree.
It's funny. It's as
I agree.
funny as all things can be. All right. I'm keeping it in. I feel like another point of contention for video games would be the fact that there's a lot of changes that could be made to video games. As you see the gameplay on the screen right, or as you saw on the gameplay on the screen, this is one of the best RTS games, real-time strategy games, of the time. But this
Now?
game
Yeah.
but this game was released back in 2015, 2014 roughly. There have been no major RTS games that have kindled the type of community like this one has. And what you're seeing right now is the accumulation of that 15 years. Another good RTS game that comes to my mind is Army Men RTS, which was released in 2002, 2003, which most PCs nowadays can't even run. It was originally made for like Windows 95 and PS2 era of
wow,
graphics and
That's that.
processing.
Damn.
wow, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, like I said, the game released in 2002, 2003. That's 1 to 2 years before I was born.
Bro, I wasn't even born. That's what I'm saying.
Like
Yeah, that's definitely saying something.
it's one of the better RTS games out there. I mean, there's one I've been trying to get into called Dawn of War, and it looks great. It looks like it plays fantastic, but it's another RTS game from the early 2000s, and not a lot of people do RTS games. Now, is it their fault? No. The RTS genre has not been
Very good, right?
well, not it's not that it hasn't been very good. It hasn't been very populated with new games. RTS is kind of
Yeah.
a dying genre, and I do not blame it for that. But there's other games where a lot of people feel the same way that I feel. Whether it be about like games like Minecraft. Minecraft was released in 2011, and it's still the king of its genre. There's been one other game like it that's kind of dethroned it, but not really. It just kind of shares the crown with it, and that would be Terraria. And that's another game that was
Oh,
released in 2013, 2014, roughly. So, they're both been on the same level in terms of player count and fame.
I. You know, all these games have been like coming out lately. It feels more like a money scam rather than gameplay
And unfortunately,
fun.
I hate to cut you off, but unfortunately, you're right there. Because a lot of the games that are coming out are just money pits or scams. I hate to point this game out, but look at Fortnite. The battle royale aspect was made on a whim, on the success of what was it? PUBG. It was made off the success of PUBG.
Yeah,
Like,
that's pretty bad.
it's not that it's bad. It's that a lot of games are built or are made for the sole purpose of, ooh, this is new and popular. Let's capitalize on this investment. And so there becomes a lot of games that are a shill of this genre. A battle royale is a very distinct uh, remnant of this.
Is, is that ever gonna change? Honestly,
Not really, because you got a lot of companies like Activision, EA, and Epic Games that like capitalizing on their investments. I mean, EA play releases new sports games every year, and people just buy them up. Tyreek. uh, and I mean, I can't really blame them because it's not 100% their fault. But at the same time, they could be doing better things with it, with their creative talents that they're procuring.
you know. I really miss the
I miss the
turn to
old
turn
Kanye.
games.
I apologize. I apologize.
No, wait, you mean you apologize?
Bro, not during the project. Please, this is going on YouTube.
Yeah,
Stay.
Oh,
yeah.
never
We
mind.
brothers, we must stay focused. We must stay focused.
All right, good day. Oh, good Lord. Oh, we must stay focused. We must
You're on
stay
the
focused.
track. Um, with the recent games with EA and 2K, well, as a franchise, I just feel like they did the bare minimum, really.
And oftentimes they do the bare minimum. They often add maybe one or two skins. I mean, with the new 2K game, they put what, Kobe Bryant on the front of the cover. That was it.
About it,
Because
yeah.
a lot of the gameplay stays the same. I mean, you don't get me wrong, you get graphical upgrades, but that doesn't really do much.
Except them, they get paid.
Yeah, they get paid, but what does that do us? What does that do for us? It gives us the same. It gives us the same thing we got last year with a new coat of paint, and an argument could be made for the new Call of Duties that come out every year now.
I really do
We've
miss them.
we've been getting the same Call of Duty since 2018, 2017. Don't get me wrong, COD Modern Warfare 2019 changed it up a bit with all the new movement systems. But as soon as they hit that nail on the head, the next 5 Call of Duties were just like it, with a different time setting and different coat of paint. Look at Vanguard. It had almost the exact same movement system, but it, it had some, different guns, some different characters to play out. And don't get me wrong on the campaign and the story behind it. A lot of the campaign was just World War II for something that was already happening. The Germans were failing.
That's
I
weird
really do
because
hope we improve.
a lot of people actually argue that the campaign, Call of Duty campaign, has never really been the game's strong point.
And while I can
What?
agree with you there, it's never been the strong point. But
I
it used
mean,
to be a lot better. I mean, look at Black Ops 1, Black
yeah.
Ops 2. Hell, even
Oh my God.
I've only
Modern
played
Warfare
I've
2?
I've only
Have you?
played
Oh,
I've only played like a few missions of Black Ops 3's campaign, but I would argue that Black Ops 3 campaign was better than Vanguard's. And I can say for certainty that Modern Warfare 2 2020, or was it 2022? I forget, is way better than Vanguard's campaign and way better than the previous year's campaign. But they were already working with a rebooted franchise that they worked with before.
ooh. Speaking of refranchising and making a upgrade, what do you think about reboots? You know, like remastered versions of games. Are they any worth?
Like the remastered versions.
Yeah.
It can work for some franchises, but it doesn't for others.
I think the only pleasure that I get from remastered games is just the nostalgic feeling.
That's probably the only reason people buy it. It's quite sad.
Yeah, a lot of reboots, don't get me wrong, you get a lot of the same faces, but with different voice actors. I mean, look at Black Ops, what was it? Black Ops Cold War. Black Ops Cold War was basically a soft reboot of the Black Ops line. What do you gentlemen feel is the biggest missed opportunity in video games?
Now, don't get me wrong. I love getting like a nice refresh of stories and new characters and all that. But sometimes keeping the character as it was before, like let's say in Rainbow Six Siege, there's this character from what is this, Splinter Cell?
Ah, yeah,
Yeah,
Sam Fisher.
Sam Fisher, that was his name. He's built. He's supposed to be like this sneaky type of character. He's like a Navy SEAL, was it? Or was it Black Ops? I don't remember. But he was basically this silent character. But in Siege,
Well,
he really doesn't have any of that.
he was never really a silent character. He's only a silent character in a sense that he was a spy. I mean, he had
But
really no other connection other than that to being silent. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was silent because he had to be for his mission, but he was never silent because he was mute. Or gentlemen, what is the biggest missed opportunity yet in the video game industry?
The biggest missed opportunity yet. I'm not sure if you two have heard about this, but the Nintendo PlayStation. Sometime in the 80s, Nintendo began working with Sony, and apparently it was like a deal. Nintendo would develop and license the games while Sony would build the hardware. I guess like eventually like Nintendo had second thoughts about the deal. I guess they were like worried that they would be giving off too much of their technology to Sony. Even though Sony was about to enter the video game industry.
You know, that's actually pretty crazy. But how? Wait, they chose to do that? Deadass or?
Yeah, it is. And then there's more to it. Like Sony had revealed that they were actually developing the Nintendo PlayStation, which actually got like tons of interest from a lot of people. But then Sony had eventually approached Sega about a deal. But then apparently that never worked out. Both sides never really came to an agreement. So in about December of 1994, Sony had launched the PlayStation. So really,
Is that the reason why PlayStation exists? Wait,
yeah, like
hold on.
Pretty much. I mean, it was basically a failed collaboration between two companies.
yeah, like Nintendo had a chance to make a super system and form a strong alliance, but they just created their biggest rival, really.
But at the same time, Sony has been making some fairly poor business deals and practices lately, like with the Activision, uh, what was it? The Activision Blizzard acquirement by Microsoft.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
I heard of
know,
that.
I don't know if y'all like have heard of it at all, but basically it's a very poor, a lot of poor acquisition processes that Sony's trying to put in place to stop this acquisition from happening. And what's it doing is, and all it's really doing for Sony is pulling back the curtain on some like exclusive deals with Japan that Sony has, so that Microsoft can will never succeed in Japan with the Xbox.
Oh, so the rivalry is going so far to the point where they're going so far with not realizing that they're hurting themselves.
Pretty much, honestly. But at the same time, some of the Sony's points that they were bringing up recently was like, oh, with this acquisition, Microsoft will have a majority hold on exclusivity rights in games. When matter of factly, it's Sony that has a majority holding still, even with this acquisition that Microsoft is planning to have.
Oh,
I mean, I know you two are no slouches in terms of like hearing about the just a common uh, a comparison between Xbox and Sony or Xbox and PlayStation would be like PlayStation had better exclusives while Xbox exclusives looking like a heaping pile of dog turd.
mhm.
Yeah,
Being as you both own PS4s yourself.
We all know that PlayStation 4 and Xboxes have their own greatest things and all their own just garbage level problems.
I was genuinely curious about like how did Pokemon Go decline so hard?
That would have been revolutionary.
I mean, it was, but at the same time, they didn't keep up with the demand, so to speak, if you get what I mean. Because, like, within the first few months, everyone was hyped for it, right? Like, there was
Yeah.
Yeah.
millions, maybe even billions of views on the subject within a couple months in. And, I don't know, there was a lot of hype for it, and when it eventually started dying down, that's when they should have started bringing out updates for it, kind of keeping their audiences engaged and whatnot. But that's not
Yeah.
really what happened, unfortunately.
I also heard there's like a lot of numerous server problems too.
Yeah, that probably was a big problem back then. Now it's probably a lot better, granted, but at this point it's kind of too late in that life cycle.
I've really gone so far in this, like, uh, this gaming industry. I won't lie, but it feels like nothing's changing fully. Just a reskin of the next thing.
Yeah, and that does happen quite a bit frequently with like the reboots and whatnot. But I feel like a reboot can be done right. Like there's a right way and a wrong way to do reboots, and a lot of the companies have been doing the reboots the wrong way.
I don't know.
I'm guessing. Oh, yeah.
Like I guess a game like Pokemon could use like the classic turn or like combat system that like basically relies more on strategic ways and less on big numbers or swiping speed like better than opponents.
I agree there. That always helps when playing such games. Jesus, it's always fun. It's such a simple mechanic too. There's nothing crazy. It's old. It's one of the oldest mechanics of all, if not the first. Maybe not, but you know what I mean. So honestly, we really do need more companies that respect the original material instead of rewriting like the story to their own profit. Like, there's so many ways that this could have, like, so many ways that every single game could have gone. We don't have many games that follow the. How do I put this? Sometimes games come from books. They don't respect that the original material in the first place, and they just make it on their own, just straight up just for money, which is quite sad.
I mean, like, what's a good example of it though?
Good example. Let's see here.
I would feel
I
like the
don't know.
Call of Duty series is a good example right now. Not to say that
Jesus.
it's bad per se, but they're rebooting it because they've run out of ideas.
There's nothing interesting coming out of them right now.
No, it really isn't. Like I said, it's like the games are good that they've released. Like the campaigns have been good. Recently, very recently, like Modern Warfare 2, Cold War, and whatnot. But they have dropped the ball more than a few times with campaigns and gameplay. A few that come to mind are Call of Duty Vanguard and Black Ops 4. But none of those are really a reboot per se. That was just them dropping the ball.
It's not even a drop ball at this point. It was more like just like drop something and then hope it works. Usually they at least put some effort, they at least plan something out.
They tried putting some effort in with like Vanguard, and
it's a beautiful game. You gotta admit that.
It's
definitely not that bad.
It's not that bad visually, but it could be a lot better mechanically and storytelling wise. Because I personally played through the campaign and that was awful.
The worst part is I was gonna try Vanguard just for this campaign because I'm the guy who plays all the Call of Duties just for the campaign.
Oh,
usually they're not that bad.
Oh, dude, same. But like I played I actually pre-ordered Call of Duty Black Ops 4 thinking there was gonna be a decent campaign. No, there wasn't. All there was blackout mode, zombies, and multiplayer.
This is really sad.
Honestly, that was kind of a trash component of it.
That's sad. Like apparently they're